Robotaxi rollout in Austin has happened. Well, what are we going to do about that? We're going to have a conversation with someone who was there on the ground, in the car, shooting live for hours to give you the unfiltered truth about it. Who could that be? Well, of course, it would be Herbert from Brighter. He was there, along with a lot of other very exciting people who had a chance. He had a chance to cover it all. We're going to do this in two parts. Today's part is we're going to cover the good and the very good, and we'll come back tomorrow and cover the bad. Oh my gosh, you guys, it's the end of the world, as you know, all the time, and address that because we need some context for both the good stuff and the bad stuff. I'm Brian. Welcome to Futuraza. So Herbert, you went down. You got one of those last minute invites. Hustle your butt, get down here. It's time to go. And you did. Tell us about it.
Oh my gosh, it was incredible. Like you said, we didn't know who was going to get to go. And we learned about it the night before and then had to set 2 nights before. So no chance to try to, order the equipment and try to do the best we can. But it was an incredible experience. So many people, I think over 500,000 people were watching live stream at the same time, simultaneously in all of our, YouTube accounts and all of our X accounts. I started it half an hour before the actual the date, the hours that Tesla was going to allow it. Only 14 people were able to be given this chance to download the app, and then as soon as we were able to download the app and then ordered the Robotaxis, I did 10 rides, had multiple guests throughout the day, and I confirmed with Sawyer that I actually have the distinction of being the very first person to download the app and the first person to hail a ride hail. Sawyer beat me by 2 minutes in terms of starting the ride hail. We looked at each other's phones, and that was because when I ordered the car, I wasn't very smart. I chose a location called Sweet Greens, and it was on a very busy road. All the cars were parked. This was kind of this hip and happening mall, and there's just no way I would not expect anybody to pick me up ever double parking on this very, very busy road. And so the very first ride, I had to walk down about 2 blocks to get into a safe parking lot, which is where the Robotaxi decided to stop to pick me up. So it took me a while to walk there and the whole running, where is it? Where is it? That was the only time though. Pick up and drop off, I believe, is still the final boss of this Robotaxi launch. They need to work that out. But out of the 10 rides I took, that was the only one that was an issue. Another one of the rides, it dropped me right in the middle of this giant park into the parking lot. And then the pickup was right there as well. Everything else was really, really convenient. And by the way, in that same spot that I was at Sweet Greens, if I walked up, and I did for one of my rides, instead of, ordering it in the actual facility, but I walked up to just a few feet up forward on the other direction, then that pickup location was just literally across the street. And so I think that Tesla was purposely trying to make sure that the pickup and drop-offs were absolutely safe. They would only do it in a very, very safe road or a very, very safe parking lot. So I think that was part of it. But what a day. All 10 rides, perfect. I just had so much safety, and I felt it was better. That FSD was better than the FSD I'm using. And so I just felt so good in those rides.
So if we're talking about the good, the first part of the good is it works. I mean, that's pretty good. And the bigger part, the biggest good to me was you weren't just permitted to film. You were permitted to live stream everything nonstop. Mm-hmm. So to the people who would say, well, you only went because you're only going to show the good stuff. I don't know how you predict good stuff in a live stream.
Yeah.
If an error happened, it happened.
Yeah. And I was, as I think all of us who were doing it were pretty honest, right? As it was happening, we're not trying to say, oh, this thing is perfect. There are some parts like the app, obviously there was still, as soon as it said service not available, or, I can't remember the other warning that basically wasn't working, right? You saw it, like you said, you're seeing it happening right in front of your eyes. I'm not trying to hide it. I go, why is it making me walk this far, right?
Right.
So it's an issue, but not any of the major problems that would have been happening. Also, I'd like to address the safety monitor sitting on the
Yes,
right
please.
side. A lot of the questions people asked was, what are they doing? Are they controlling the car? They are not controlling the car. They're not touching the steering wheel. They're not touching the pedals. There's no control. They had their finger on a button on the right side, and that was the button that you normally do to open the car door on the right side. They might have, we don't know what that does, but we think that was be kind of like an emergency stop the car. Now, my suspicion of why they have to have a safety monitor is, yes, probably there for a potential intervention. You don't want that first day, specifically this first week, to have any major issues. But I think the most reason they're doing it is they're expecting Tesla enemies to come out and do some crazy thing, throw a dog in front of the car or something like that. And that's what they were. And that certainly was the case. That same day, early in the morning, as we were driving to this location, we saw a plane. And it had a banner, and it said, save Tesla, fire Musk. So people are paying money they knew that this was a big day, and I had no doubt that there was plans to disrupt it as much as possible. And I think that that's why they had that person there.
That is an interesting perspective. This is a high profile kind of thing. I went to a Tesla event at a sales center a few weeks back, and normally I publicize all of my appearances so that I can get people there who'd like to say hello. But because it was at a Tesla sales center, I chose not to do that because I didn't want the disruptors to come out and make the day miserable for everybody. And they're just noisy and obnoxious, and do that somewhere else. Do that at home, I guess, maybe. But this is good because you can't hide the bad things if it's a live stream. It's all there. It's all there. And I've seen a lot of people have a lot of interesting goalposts on what is a actually autonomous vehicle. So let's cover some of those, and you can tell me if they achieve them and if it's good or bad. No driver behind the wheel.
There was no driver behind the wheel.
No driver behind the wheel.
And I took a Waymo the night before too. There was no driver behind that wheel. In fact, there was no safety monitor in that car too. Chuck Cook and I really enjoyed that experience. Everybody kept saying, "Oh, Waymos, they're jerky." I didn't feel that way. I thought it was quite smooth. I was very impressed with the Waymo experience, except at the very ending. So we were going to Terry Black's restaurant. And as you know how when you're turning left into the restaurant's on the other side of the road, you have to turn left into the parking lot. There's that shared middle lane. Mm-hmm. And so you have to get into that share. There was 2 cars that were already going to turn into Terry Black's thing. And so the Waymo said, "Oh, too late. I didn't see it. I didn't go behind that second car." And then all of a sudden you could see the direction is going to go, I'm going to go around the 2. I'm just going to go in front of the second one. I thought, uh-oh. But then it changed its mind. In the middle of this very busy road, it went to the right lane and stopped in this very busy road just there. There was no cars behind me, but as soon as I came out, several cars came out and they had to go around this car. And I had to say, "Chuck, be careful. Don't go out that side." I said, "This is not safe." I would not have wanted it. I don't think any Uber driver would have said, "Get out here."
Yes, but to Waymo's credit, they've only been doing this for 12 years.
Sure.
So got to cut them some slack.
Tesla was taken to go to the same place, and it knew how to get into that left lane ahead of the other cars or to actually go into the parking lot. Now, this is anecdotal, sure, but it's just that, that's what happened that day.
But it is your anecdote. You were there and had that experience. Worth noting, I think the only reason Robotaxi did so well is because it recognizes that Terry Black's is perhaps the best barbecue in the known universe.
Yeah.
It is very good. I'm just getting sad thinking about how far I am.
There was no driver. And they've now shown it. They've done 1,000+ drives at this point. Yes, there was probably I think we counted at this point 11 cars. There was only open up to 14 people, and they're expanding it. They're adding to it. They stopped it during the rain. That's just
we'll get to that.
Caution. Okay.
We'll get to that in the bad show tomorrow. So let's talk about some more good stuff. Again, we're talking about it can't be real if. It's not real if it can't make an unprotected left turn, like
Oh,
Chuck
and it
Cook's
actually
famous
did
one.
one. Yeah, which is a surprise because didn't they say that they were going to just be very cautious? They weren't going to let it do unprotected left turns. Bradford Ferguson was using his Robotaxi, and it did an unprotected left turn. And he said, I approved because you waited until it was very safe, and then it did it. But then he said the next time he tried to do it, it decided not to do that, and it went around the same location. So, it can do it.
It can do it.
Clearly
And
it
the
can do it.
thing is, they didn't say it wouldn't do unprotected lefts. They said it would optimize routes for flow and safety. And it sounds like it's making decisions on the fly like you or I would. Well, like you would. I make all my
That's true.
decisions years in advance, and then I stick with them.
But that's true. Sometimes if I see a lane like this, we'll just decide, yeah, you're right. Just let's turn right, and I'll just go around the block instead of, go to the one with the lights instead of trying it here. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, there are times when sometimes you get up to those tricky intersections and there's no one there. Great, let's just go. But other times it's rush hour. No, I'm gonna go a different route. So it can't be real because it is geofenced. But with 10, 11 cabs, wouldn't not having a geofence just make it take an hour to show up?
Yeah. So it is geofenced. We did not know what the actual ride hail service would entail until we downloaded the app. It turned out that it was half of what Waymo was offering, still in Austin proper, Austin, the city. Tesla, surprisingly, was approved for Austin Metro, which is 8 times bigger than what Waymo is capable of. But they've decided to start with just half of what Waymo's doing. So it was geofence, but so is Waymo, and that's fine. Like you said, you only have 10 cars with just 14 people. You don't want to make it any larger than a certain size. So that made a lot of sense why they did that for now. Now there's rumors today. There's rumors now that people are spotting robotaxis being driven on highways. And I actually have a theory. CERN came up with this, that June 28th, just a few days from now, Tesla will expand that geofence to include Giga Texas. Why?
That would, yeah.
The logic behind that is because, Elon was saying that we're going to launch Robotaxi somewhere around June 22nd. They did that. And he said maybe by June 28th, somewhere around that, the very first person who buys a Tesla Model Y, the car will come out of the factory and drive its way to your home. And if you can do robotaxis now, which basically means it can, drive around, what if a person lives in that certain geofence now, but then, why don't they just expand it to include Giga Texas? So we think that they're going to just go ahead and expand the geography to Giga Texas starting next week, maybe. That's just a theory.
But it's a reasonable theory. I periodically get people on the channel in the comments saying, you guys are guessing. Why are you even guessing? If you don't want us to try and tell you what's coming next, we're pretty good at it, by the way. Just follow a news channel that tells you what's already happened. Yeah. That's a great way to know what's happened in the past. We're trying to look forward. And again, we're pretty good at it. We have a reasonably good track record, better than the Wall Street analysts, but of course they are notoriously terrible. I still see analysts saying that Uber is going to win, and I ask how? How? There are too many problems with their model.
Yeah, no idea.
Other big successes that we should point out for Robotaxi.
The most important thing that they were testing is not FSD. You and I have been testing FSD. We know my FSD, and I know you said it depends on the geography, but in my FSD, I've driven it 4.5 months, no interventions every single day. And I've driven it here around Seattle. I've driven it to Portland. I've driven it to Vancouver, Canada. No issues. So for me, I already know FSD will work. Now that version of FSD is better. It's something we don't have, and I felt the difference. I personally felt the difference. I felt it was more confident, just it moves quicker, more responsive, and very, very smooth. Sorry, what was the question?
We're just covering more good.
What they're testing. Yeah, what they're testing. What they're real testing is not FSD. What they're really testing is the operations, right? They showed you a picture of the command center. They're tracking everything. This is the first time they launched the app. Remember the time when they said, how many people said, no, Tesla will need to buy Uber? Oh, sorry, why do they need to buy Uber? Oh, because they have the app. And that app took them years, decades to build, and Tesla can't do that. Okay, well, Tesla said, well, here's the app, standalone app. We didn't need to use Ubers. It looks exactly like Ubers and Lyfts, right? You could follow the car. You can choose your locations. You could pay through the app. It basically is the same as Uber's app in many ways. But what they were testing is the stress test of the system, right? Can you accept payments? There were bugs in the app, but very tiny. I saw the bugs. I felt the bugs. I experienced several of them, like things like, it will say service not available, and then you do it again, and then it's available. There was one part where they told me I should be able to change the reroute. Like, oh, I changed my mind. I'm not going to go to this location anymore. But there's a little, dot thing, and you're supposed to press that, but it won't do anything. So these are little tiny issues that they're going to fix. I think it takes them 2 weeks to fix this, maybe a month. This is not hard stuff here. This isn't big things. So, but that's what they were testing.
They've got all the hard stuff sorted out. The last thing that I heard people saying is it won't be real unless they're charging. Now, it was a token amount, but they did charge.
Oh, they charge, yeah. And people were going, saying, yeah, it is. First of all, they're not charging. Yes, they are charging. They said it's $4.20 just to make it easy for everybody. Then everybody said, a lot of people go, yeah, they're just saying that, but they're not actually charging your credit card. No, they are. I can show you my credit card receipts. It's charged. So this shows you on Sunday, Tesla opened up a brand new revenue stream that didn't exist before. This is per mile charge, or, this Robotaxi service charge. They weren't trying to make money out of it, but they made some just to prove the point, but it's there.
Not just to prove the point, but to validate the app, like you were saying. And Dirty Tesla, I think, also showed a screenshot of his credit card portal that these are real payments. And there is, of course, a tip button. What happens when you press it?
They are having fun. So he goes, okay, here's the tip. Leave a rating, read a review. I did that. And then he goes, tip $1, $2, or custom amount. And they go, oh, they want us to tip this. You press tip, and then up comes just kidding, hedgehog image. That's just kidding. And you pick any of them, it just says just kidding. So that's the whole point about these Robotaxis. You don't have to tip. And that's a lot of money typically that I paid an extra $8 to a $60 ride to take me from the airport home. And that's a significant amount that I have to, you feel like you want to give to the person.
If one app is the same price per ride as an autonomous one, the autonomous one is cheaper because there's no expectation of a tip. And you don't have to tip. I guess you could just be cheap and make it so that the driver has a tougher time getting by. But it's not just that there's no expectation. They don't accept them. Why would you tip a robot? And that's a huge benefit. Guys, come back tomorrow. We're going to be talking about the bad things, the things that are done wrong, the things that could be done better, all the super negative stuff, and the NHTSA investigation. Oh my gosh, Herbert, this is terrifying. NHTSA is getting involved. I didn't know there would be so much paperwork. And everybody else, head over to Herbert's channel, find out how to get brighter with this guy here. And everybody else, stay tuned, stay juicy, and I cannot wait to hear from you, clever robots, tomorrow when we wrap this up.